Velkommen til Universitetet i Nairobi, Kenya. Det var her Forum fandt sted i juli måned 1985, hvor kvinder fra hele verden var sammen. Samtidig med Forum afholdt FN en officiel kvindekonference i den anden ende af Nairobi på landets store Kenyatta-konferencecenter. Her havde regeringsdelegationer adgang og taleret. Sammen var de to begivenheder med til at afslutte FN's kvinde 10 år. Men lad os tage tilbage til universitetet og Forum, som det her program handler om. Forum er den eneste åbne internationale talerstol, kvinder nogensinde har haft. Det er derfor også meget svært præcis at sige, hvad Forum er for noget. Alligevel vil jeg i løbet af den næste halve time give et bud, med hjælp fra de kvinder, som jeg interviewede, mens konferencen var i fuld gang. Den første kvindekonference af den her slags fandt sted i Mexico i 1975, som var FN's kvindeår. Ved siden af den traditionelle, officielle FN-konference for landenes regeringsdelegationer, var der blevet arrangeret en alternativ, hvor kvinder fra organisationer og andre kvinder, der havde mulighed for at betale rejsen, kunne dele erfaringer og problemer med hinanden. Den her første internationale konference for græsrodskvinder fra hele verden blev der også præget af behovet for at fortælle alle de andre om kvindernes egne problemer. Det var i første omgang vigtigere end at lytte til de andre. Hvor minearbejderkvinderne fra Latinamerika fortalte om værdien af deres fælleskamp med mændene mod undertrykkelsen, så fastholdt vestlige feminister det nødvendige i at kæmpe for en øget bevidstgørelse, kvinder alene. Næste gang græsrodskvinder havde lejlighed til at mødes var i 1980 i København, hvor Danmark var værtsland for FN's midtvejskonference. Her blev Forum brugt til at komme i dialog med hinanden, og også ofte i vild diskussion om de store politiske spørgsmål, som jo naturligvis også præger kvinders hverdag og virkelighed, så forskellig som den er. En af de store diskussioner i 1980, som viser noget om, hvor let man kommer til at misforstå hinanden, var spørgsmålet om klitorisomskærelse, som finder sted i mange afrikanske og arabiske lande. Vestlige feminister havde indsamlet underskrifter for at presse et forbud igennem mod denne kvindeundertrykkende skik, hvor større eller mindre dele af de kvindelige kønsdele bortopereres. De berørte kvinder reagerede meget voldsomt og bad de vestlige kvinder lade være med at blande sig i spørgsmål, som de ikke havde forstand på. Og de afrikanske kvinder bad om at blive lyttet til, understregede, at de bedst selv kunne udtrykke deres behov og deres eventuelle behov for hjælp. Blandt andet på den baggrund var Forum i Nairobi i 1985 præget af en ny slags global forståelse. En bevidsthed om, at alle er en del af det samme system. Den faktiske forværring, der har fundet sted i de sidste 10 år, på trods af kvinde-10-året, har fået kvinder til at rykke tættere sammen, til at føle en større fælles ansvarlighed for retten til ikke blot at overleve, men til at leve. Det er derfor også vigtigt, at kvinder har mulighed for at mødes og udveksle erfaringer, lære af hinanden og styrkes. Det understreger en af de afrikanske kvinder også, som i København i 1980 var meget fremtrædende i debatten om klitorisomskærelse, Marie-Angélique Savané.
It's obvious that in Copenhagen, many issues related to the status of women and from a feminist perspective were brought because of the influence of Scandinavian setting where this meeting was taking place. And it's obvious that in that sense, for me, Copenhagen was a much more wider expression of different views that even here in Kenya. I think also the problem in Kenya is that because it was taking place in a developing country, we are not used to this type of democracy where you accept everybody according to their own views. But here the conference has been prepared in a sense that people will focus mainly on development issues. I think this was also one of the stand that the Kenyan people took as of the beginning of the preparation. They didn't want to deal with what they call feminist or Western issue. And this means that even at the forum, this time, we didn't have strong debate on feminist perspective. So, and you can even see from many of the workshops, we didn't have a lot of feminism as we did have in Kenya. But in the meantime, I don't think it was really reflective of the underground situation, because it seems to me that in Kenya we have achieved a kind of maturity in the sense that many Western women just realize that the women issue is not an individual issue. It's a social problem. You have to go through processes, political, economic, cultural, and so on. So they were more open to discuss development issue. Why many of the African, mainly at the NGO Forum, were ready to accept more that the feminism is a fact that we have to go through. That development is an aim, but feminism is a way also of aiming at development.
Cirka 12.000 kvinder fra hele verden havde fundet vej til Nairobi til forum, som principielt er åben for alle. Det er selvfølgelig ikke alle, der har mulighed for at deltage. De kvinder, der var kommet, var enten sendt og støttet af en organisation, eller også havde de selv fundet mulighed for at komme. Som Marie-Angélique Savani netop har sagt, bar Forum 85 tydeligt præg af at finde sted i et udviklingsland. Balancen mellem deltagere fra I- og U-lande var meget bedre, end den for eksempel var det i København i 1980. I løbet af de 7 dage, konferencen varede, blev der afholdt ca. 1000 workshops. Og når man tænker på, at en enkelt person ikke kan nå mere end højst 30, ja, så er det klart, at der bliver næsten lige så mange historier om forum, som der var kvinder til stede. Et af konferencens emner var kvinders brug af medier, og da det er min interesse, og vi var i Afrika, har jeg interesseret mig specielt for kvinders brug af medier på det store kontinent. Og kvinders stilling inden for de etablerede medier i afrikanske lande minder meget om den situation, som vi kender her fra den vestlige verden og fra Danmark.
Well, as far as I can judge from looking at our daily newspapers, in actual fact, most of our daily newspapers have got sections for women. And these sections, most of them are covered by women. So in my own understanding, I don't think it's difficult for women to write where they're employed about women's issues. But it's the treatment of the women's issues, which is the question always in our minds as women in Africa. We find that most of the articles written about women are women, in the kitchen, women in fashion, and areas which are important, but not really the most important. What we want to see is the role of women in development, given more publicity. We do also have a lot of coverage on our radio network. We have women's programs in both the English and the vernacular services and the national services. But again, the real issue here is making sure that the real issues and the real problems that concern African women are given coverage. We don't want just to see women's columns covering cookery, fashion, and women in the kitchen, women in the home. These are important issues, but to me, and to date, those are not the most important issues for women.
Og for at forbedre situationen for kvinder, både professionelle mediekvinder og for kvinder, der laver alternative medieprojekter, har kvinder i Afrika startet 2 organisationer for mediekvinder. En i den fransktalende del af Afrika og en i den engelsktalende. Eugenie Aufra, Association des Professionnels Africains de la Communication, altså kvindeorganisationen for professionelle afrikanere, der arbejder med kommunikation, fortæller, hvordan organisationen blandt andet arbejder.
Or, nous devons faire face au niveau de nos médias à ce que nous appelons la censure. Alors, il y a 2 formes de censure. Il y a bien sûr la censure qui est exercée par les médias d'État et qui n'admet pas que l'on présente une image critique de ce qui se passe. Parce que la plupart du temps, nous sommes dans des pays à parti unique et ce sont ces partis uniques qui contrôlent la communication. Mais il y a également une autre forme de censure, c'est ce que nous appelons l'autocensure. C'est-à-dire que les journalistes se disent, si j'écris ou si je dis telle chose, je serai sanctionné. Donc, automatiquement, il y a des choses qu'on ne dit pas, parce qu'on estime qu'on ne doit pas les dire. Alors ça, c'est l'autocensure. Alors, au niveau de notre association, nous avons essayé de faire la part des choses, de montrer ce qui est autocensure et qu'il faudrait essayer de dépasser et de montrer ce qui est censure. Alors, en ce qui concerne la censure, les femmes journalistes ont beaucoup insisté sur le mouvement de solidarité des femmes dans la communication. Parce que, évidemment, si elles ont des problèmes, ce mouvement de solidarité pourra vraiment les couvrir et ça les encouragera à essayer d'aller plus loin et surtout à faire la communication avec les femmes qui sont les premières concernées.
Hvor vi i vores del af verden satser på at etablere alternative kvindemedier, var flere af de afrikanske kvinder, jeg talte med, af den overbevisning, at det ville være bedst at satse på at få plads til virkelig kvindespørgsmål i de etablerede medier.
because of the hierarchy within the media setting, many of the media women have not a strong position, so they can do anything. They have not support, etc. But I think the idea started already that meeting, saying, why don't we create our own? But this is something that needs to be worked out and taken into account in the whole process. But I do think that maybe it's better actually to strengthen their position within the national setting, is where that they will reach the majority of the women. And there is a need to build an experience of how within the institution, a male-dominated institution, you can start bringing. This means that we have to stop being our own censorship, because many of the women media are the ones censoring themselves, because anyway, they are true, they are frightened by the political repression, they are frightened because they don't want to lose their job and so on and so forth. But still, I think there is a space still existing within the hierarchy where we can do something, and we can do it properly.
Je dois dire qu'au niveau de l'Afrique, la radio a joué un rôle extraordinaire pour la prise de conscience des femmes. Parce que la radio est un instrument de communication qui ne coûte pas cher et que chaque foyer peut avoir. Donc la radio est quelque chose d'extrêmement important pour nous, mais ce n'est pas une radio qui est destinée plus particulièrement aux femmes. La critique que nous faisons aux émissions féminines dans nos pays, ou alors aux articles qui sont écrits pour les femmes, c'est que la plupart du temps, elles n'essaient pas de proposer d'autres alternatives à la vie des femmes, mais elles s'insèrent vraiment dans le cadre du domestique et elles ont l'air de confiner les femmes dans ce rôle domestique. C'est peut-être la critique que nous faisons à la radio et aux émissions telles qu'elles se présentent à l'heure actuelle dans nos pays.
Well, the radio network in my country is very good. Many people are reached by the radio. There are very many transistor radios available to the communities, radios that have been made available by the government in community halls and what have you. So to me, again, radio is the best way of reaching the masses. If you want to reach the masses of any country, you have to use the radio. But I think it's very important for women to look for alternative media everywhere in the world, because I believe that the already established media cannot cater for all the women's needs. And if women are to develop, if women are to put their issues across to the rest of the world, they have to strive and develop alternative media.
Hvor kvinder fra mange afrikanske lande altså er enige om, at radioen er et godt medie for netop kvinders bevidstgørelse, så diskuterer man i Afrika også meget, om det overhovedet er en god idé at indføre alle de elektroniske medier i landsbyen. Man taler i stedet for om at genopdage de traditionelle kommunikationsformer.
Peut-être qu'il serait intéressant de revenir à une forme de communication traditionnelle. Chaque peuple a son image de la communication. Chaque peuple a une manière dont il exprime son monde. Et peut-être ce serait intéressant d'essayer de retrouver ces moyens de communication, mais en leur donnant un contenu nouveau. Parce que les femmes chantent, les femmes aiment dire des proverbes. En Afrique, la plupart du temps, ce sont les femmes qui transmettent la tradition. Donc, comment arriver, en donnant un contenu nouveau à ces moyens de communication, à faire passer des messages nouveaux où la femme puisse s'engager dans le développement, où on puisse donner des outils de progrès aux femmes.
Ved siden af workshoppene, som foregik i universitetets bygninger, var der på sportspladsen opbygget et festivalområde, som blev kaldt Tech and Tools. Her blev kvinders egen teknologi udstillet og demonstreret. Alt lige fra landbrugsteknologi, madproduktion, sundhed og energi, over kommunikation og indkomstskabende aktiviteter. En af historierne her kom fra Mali og handlede om, hvad video kan bruges til i en afrikansk landsby.
I am Mrs. Sata Dambele Jire from Mali. I work in the National Direction of Functional Literacy and Applied Linguistics in a division called Division for Promotion of Women. We work on literacy classes with women. Since women have a lot to do in the day, we don't have enough time to attend the classes. So you can't do anything any training with them. And then the government of Mali has implemented a project called use of video to develop programs for women. And this project is funded by UNFPA and executed by UNESCO. What we do with this material is to go to the village, talk with women, and they talk about their problems, and then we film the talking, and then we put on the tape, and they see through the video the realities, what they have said, and then we ask them how can they solve their problems without and some help from other parts of the world. And then we play back the tape and so on. Using the video now, with 45 villages, we have done such a work that women through the video know from one village to another village without seeing the people from this village.
Flere af de eksempler på kvinders egen teknologi, der var udstillet på tech- og tools-området, var blevet støttet af FN's særlige udviklingsfond for kvinder, der støtter projekter, der ikke kan få støtte andre steder fra. 8 af de projekter blev ved en festlighed under kvindekonferencen belønnet af fonden. Og et af de belønnede projekter kom fra Sri Lanka, hvor kvinder er blevet økonomisk uafhængige og på den måde har fået mulighed for et bedre liv for sig selv og deres børn, og også en vis respekt fra samfundet og mændene, som de ikke havde haft tidligere.
I'm Hashini Navaratna from Sri Lanka. I work for Sarvodaya Shramadana movement in Sri Lanka. Sarvodaya Shramadana movement, Sarvodaya means the awakening of all. So our movement, we help people to improve their living conditions and make them self-reliant. So according to a request we got from the villagers for income generating activity, we started this community shop program, which was funded by United Nations Development Fund for Women. We got about $30,000 for this project, and now we have started about 150 community shops in Sri Lanka, all runs by women, rural women. So especially we started this because the middleman, we call them Mudalali, they are having the financial management in the village in their hands. So we want to get rid of this, and we want to take village women out of this vicious circle. So we started this project. So through this project, now the women in these villages, they they manage their financial situation in the village. So especially there was no competition in the village to this competition in the village. So because of that, they had to pay what the Mudalali says, the middleman says, and they have to purchase the things at the rate what they say, and they have to give their productions to the rate that they asked for. So because of that, they are always being debtors. So now, due to this situation, they can't afford to feed their children. They can't afford to educate their children because they don't have enough money. So now they have taken the financial management in the village to their hands, and now they are more independent, and they have more confidence on them towards development in the village.
I am Emma Santana from San Miguel, Bulacan, Philippines. I came to Nairobi because our project in our town was one of the winning project funded by the UN Voluntary Fund. In our town, we have an organized women, which is non-government organization, and these women were able to ask from the United Nations Voluntary Fund an amount of $50,000, which we used in giving as initial to 70 women loans, which they used in raising swine at the backyard, until after they were given loans in material forms like piglets, feeds, and vet services. After the project, they became self-reliant, and with the profit that they got from the project, they are now having their own projects which they manage. At present, many of these women, especially those who were in the project, are now having their own enterprises, like small stores. They manage the small stores. They have home industries like making sweets, or we call that in our place pastillas de leche, which is candy out of Carabao's milk. And also they have pork cracklings. And these industries, they manage by themselves, using as capital the net profit that they got from the project. The men, they do not feel bad, but they like it because they found out that their families can be helped by the project, especially as an income-generating project. However, sometimes men become zealous of the pigs because the women have full responsibilities, and they really attend to their pigs. And but these men, it doesn't mean to say that they do not want the project. No? They were only a little bit envious because of the care that the women are giving to their to the swine that they are caring for.
Kenya havde taget sit værtskab for konferencen meget alvorligt. 4.000 af forums 12.000 deltagere kom fra Kenya. Den kenyanske radio, Voice of Kenya, havde kørt udsendelsesrækker op til kvindekonferencen, og der havde været en lang række forberedende konferencer rundt omkring i landet for kvindegrupperne der. Når jeg kørte med bussen, blev jeg ofte spurgt om blandt andet kvinders og mænds relationer i mit land, af nysgerrige, åbne og også lidt skræmte mænd. Kenyas store kvindeorganisation havde også blandt meget andet organiseret et stort marked mellem universitetet og sportspladsen, hvor Tech og Tools fandt sted. Her solgte kenyanske kvinder deres kunsthåndværk, blandt andet de berømte kurve, kiondos, som der blev solgt i tusindvis af til de internationale deltagere på konferencen. Og der blev handlet, der blev snakket og grinet. Livet blev levet meget intenst på den store græsplæne mellem universitetets 4 bygninger på mange forskellige måder. Der blev slappet af, snakket, diskuteret, spillet musik og danset som her til de amerikanske trommere, og der blev demonstreret. Konferencen blev mere og mere politisk, som dagene gik. 2 af de spørgsmål, der var gennemgående i næsten alt, hvad der foregik på forum, var fred og apartheid. Ved siden af universitetets bygninger var der rejst et stort blå- og hvidstribet fredstelt, hvor nogle af de store Sydafrika-diskussioner fandt sted. Det var her, jeg mødte Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwah fra befrielsesbevægelsen SWAPO fra Namibia, som Sydafrika holder besat.
As we participate in this forum, we feel this forum has helped us to mobilize or to explain to the women of the world as to what is happening in Namibia, in South Africa, and the whole of the southern region, so that they can understand our program and able to help us. Our people are ready to fight and liberate our country. Our people are determined to wage the struggle. But really, without international support, our struggle could not be at the level where it is today. So that's why we feel that women, as the majority of the world population, they have an important role to play. We are in this forum with a theme on development, equality, and peace. In our country, we cannot talk about development. You cannot develop under colonial occupation. In our country, we cannot talk about peace. You cannot have peace in a colonized country. And you cannot talk about equality. You are in a colonized country which is accompanied by apartheid. So there's no question of equality. So we feel that in this forum, women should also address themselves to this question, that it is of no use to talk of equality in one part of the world, while the other part of the world is just impossible for them to talk about peace. So that's why we feel that as women are going, they should explain to their people back home as to what they have learned here on about the struggling people in Southern Africa, and to render the assistance.
We, the women at the forum, strongly support the struggles of the people of Namibia and South Africa, which is led by the Vanguard Liberation Movement, SWAPO, and ANC, respectively. Namibia will be free, and South Africa will be free.
Yes. Let's go from this forum with a resolve to apply sanctions against South Africa. Long live all progressive women.
And we send our solidarity to all of you. Thank you.
They work in these refugee settlements in Angola and Zambia. The struggle will continue.
1990, that an Namibian women's delegation and a South African women's delegation from a free and independent Namibia. That is the task that I told my sisters to go back and work for. Thank you. Thank you.
Overalt på vores klode er kvinders liv blevet besværligere inden for kvinde-10-året. Men kvinder er i den samme periode tilsyneladende blevet bedre organiseret og dermed stærkere, mere selvbevidste og dermed sværere at komme udenom. Og vi har følt på vores krop, hvilken inspiration og hvilket perspektiv det giver at mødes fra alle dele af verden. Og på hvilken anden konference, i hvilken anden sammenhæng overhovedet mødes kvinder, der ikke kan læse og skrive, bondekvinder og kvindelige doktorer og professorer, simpelthen fordi der er brug for hver eneste kvindes erfaring.